Am I the asshole for offering to pay a stranger to ruin my wedding because I'm not sure he's the one? All right, Reddit, I need to know if I'm the worst person on the planet right now. I've been sitting on this for a while and the guilt is eating me alive. But at the same time, I feel like I had my reasons. Here's the story. I'm 29 and engaged to Jake, who's 32, and we've been together for 5 years. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, and things took off quickly after that. Jake's the kind of guy everyone would tell you is a good catch. He's stable, dependable, and kind. He's got a steady job, a nice group of friends, and he gets along with my family well enough. On paper, he's perfect. But here's the thing. I'm not sure he's the one. I've been feeling this way for about a year now. It's hard to explain, but something just feels off. It's not like Jake did anything wrong. He's never cheated, never treated me badly. There's just this nagging feeling in my gut that maybe I'm making a huge mistake. Every time I tried to talk to my friends or family about it, they would reassure me that I'm just getting cold feet, that every bride-to-be feels nervous before the big day. I let myself believe them. But now, with the wedding only weeks away, the doubts have become impossible to ignore. I started noticing things about Jake that used to be endearing, but now just annoy me. Like the way he leaves his dirty socks on the floor, no matter how many times I ask him not to. Or the way he laughs too loud at his own jokes, even when they're not funny. Little things, right? But these little things pile up, and I started wondering if I was actually in love with him, or if I just loved the idea of being in love with someone. I felt trapped. The wedding was already planned, invitations sent, vendors paid. I couldn't just cancel everything without it being a huge ordeal. People would ask questions. I'd be branded the runaway bride, and I couldn't handle the embarrassment. Then, one night, while I was mindlessly scrolling through social media, I saw this post that made me laugh out loud. It was this random meme account with a post that said, "For $2,000, I'll show up at your wedding and tear it down." I couldn't help myself. I commented on it as a joke, saying, "I'll give you $4,000 if you bring a kid who looks like my fiance." At the time, it seemed hilarious. I wasn't serious. It was just me venting my frustrations in the most ridiculous way possible. I was even about to delete the comment, but then something unexpected happened. The account messaged me, like right away. "Serious offer?" the message read. My heart skipped a beat. Was this real? Was I actually entertaining this nonsense? Part of me wanted to laugh it off and block the account, but then a little voice in the back of my head said, "What if?" I didn't answer the message right away. But the more I thought about it, the more I began to wonder if this was my way out. Maybe if something happened at the wedding, something dramatic enough, I wouldn't have to be the one to call it off. It wouldn't be my fault. I wouldn't be the bad guy. The idea began to take root, and before I knew it, I was typing a response. "Could we make it look like my fiance has been hiding something from me?" I asked, half joking, half serious. The account replied almost instantly, "I can make anything happen for the right price." Now I know what you're all thinking. Who in their right mind would actually go through with something like this? But when you're desperate and scared and feeling like you're about to ruin your life, you start thinking irrationally. I was convincing myself that if this person could just cause a scene at the wedding, make it look like Jake had some secret love children running around, then maybe I could escape without looking like the bad guy. So I made the deal. I transferred $4,000 to a random stranger on the internet in exchange for them to show up at my wedding with a kid who vaguely resembled Jake. I figured I'd play the shocked and betrayed fiancé, call off the wedding, and then, well, I hadn't exactly thought through what would happen next. All I knew was that I needed out, and this seemed like the only way to do it without blowing up my entire life. Fast forward to the day of the wedding. Everything was going smoothly, too smoothly. My bridesmaids were buzzing around, getting ready, taking pictures, and making sure I was the most beautiful bride they'd ever seen. Jake was somewhere with his groomsmen, probably knocking back a beer or two and talking about sports. Everything felt normal, except for me. My stomach was in knots. I kept checking my phone, wondering if the stranger I'd hired would actually follow through. Part of me hoped they wouldn't. Maybe I could still back out of this whole plan. But as the ceremony time crept closer, I knew there was no turning back. Then it happened. We were halfway through the ceremony, standing at the altar, when suddenly a woman burst through the doors of the venue, holding the hand of a small boy. The room went silent. Everyone turned to look at her, including me. She was exactly as I had pictured, disheveled, with wild hair and a manic expression. The boy she was dragging along behind her was maybe 4 or 6 years old, and I'll be damned if he didn't look eerily like Jake. "You bastard!" she screamed, pointing directly at Jake. "How could you stand up there and lie to this poor woman?" The entire room gasped. I could feel all eyes on me, and I had to remind myself to breathe. This was it. My plan was working. I could get out of this. Jake looked at the woman, completely dumbfounded. "What the hell are you talking about? Does she know about me? Or about your son?" she cried, pushing the boy forward. "You've been hiding him from her for years, and now you're going to marry her without telling her the truth?" I played my part perfectly. I dropped Jake's hands and stumbled backward, covering my mouth in shock. Tears welled up in my eyes. I might have overdone it a bit, but hey, I was trying to sell this. "Jake, is this true?" I whispered, my voice trembling. He looked at me wide-eyed and shaking his head furiously. No, I have no idea who this woman is. I swear she's lying." The woman pushed the kids forward again. "Look at him. He has your eyes, Jake. Don't you dare deny him." At this point, the crowd was murmuring, and I could see Jake's family whispering to each other, looking concerned. My parents were glaring at him, my mother clutching her pearls like she'd just seen a ghost. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I waited for Jake to say something, anything, that would give me the final push to call it off. But instead, he just stood there, looking like a deer caught in headlights. He kept denying it, but the more he spoke, the more desperate and guilty he looked. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I turned to him and said, "I can't do this. I'm sorry, but I just can't." With that, I bolted from the altar and ran out of the venue, leaving behind a sea of shocked guests and a bewildered Jake. I hid in the bridal suite for a while, waiting for things to calm down. The stranger I'd hired texted me, saying they were gone, that the job was done. I should have felt relieved, but instead I felt a pit of guilt in my stomach. What had I just done? That was 3 weeks ago, and now I'm sitting here wondering if I'm the asshole for what I did. Jake and I haven't spoken since the wedding. He's tried calling and texting, but I haven't had the courage to respond. My family thinks I made the right decision. After all, they believe Jake really had some secret child running around. They don't know the truth. No one does. But I can't shake the feeling that I've just made a huge mistake. Jake didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve to be humiliated like that in front of all our friends and family. And now, I'm left wondering if I'll ever be able to forgive myself for lying to everyone, especially to Jake. So Reddit, I need to know, am I the asshole for paying someone to ruin my own wedding because I wasn't sure about marrying Jake?